Welcome to Barbara's Bulletin. I'm your host, Barbara. Today we're diving into a developing story out of California that's raising eyebrows and sparking debate. A firebrand sheriff, who's also running as a Republican for governor of the state, has launched an election fraud probe, seizing hundreds of thousands of ballots in the process. However, California's Attorney General is pushing back, stating that there's no evidence to support these claims of election fraud. Now, let's take a closer look at this situation. The sheriff in question has been vocal about his concerns regarding the integrity of the electoral system, but critics argue that this move is nothing more than a political stunt. On the other hand, supporters of the sheriff believe that he's taking a necessary step to ensure transparency and accountability in the election process. It's essential to note that election fraud is a serious issue, and any allegations should be thoroughly investigated. However, it's equally important to rely on evidence-based information and avoid spreading misinformation or unfounded claims. As this story continues to unfold, we'll be keeping a close eye on developments and providing you with updates. The question remains, what sparked this investigation, and will it lead to any significant findings? We'll have to wait and see how this plays out, but one thing is certain: the debate surrounding election integrity is far from over. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. We're diving into the complex and ever-evolving Middle East crisis. Reports have surfaced that the U.S. and Iran may engage in talks as early as this weekend, according to the UN nuclear watchdog chief, Rafael Grossi. These potential negotiations come on the heels of a proposed 15-point ceasefire plan sent by the Trump administration to Iran through Pakistan. The plan allegedly includes sanctions, relief, a rollback of Iran's nuclear program, restrictions on its ballistic missile program, and access for shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has been quick to dismiss these claims as fake news, insisting that the U.S. is essentially negotiating with itself. However, Pakistani officials have confirmed that Iran has indeed received the proposal. Meanwhile, the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, suggests that talks between Iran and the U.S. could take place in Islamabad in the coming days. In related news, Iran's parliament speaker, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, has stated that Tehran is closely monitoring all U.S. movements in the region. This comes as the U.S. prepares to deploy additional troops to the Middle East, with reports indicating that over 1,000 soldiers will join the 50,000 already stationed there. As the situation continues to unfold, international leaders are weighing in on the conflict. Spain's Prime Minister, Pedro Sánchez, has expressed concerns that the war could have far-reaching and devastating consequences, potentially exceeding the damage caused by the invasion of Iraq in 2003. We'll continue to monitor this developing story and provide updates as more information becomes available. For now, it's clear that the Middle East crisis remains a complex and delicate issue, with multiple parties involved and various interests at play. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. As we wrap up today's show, I'd like to bring to your attention a developing story surrounding the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier. The vessel, which is the most expensive U.S. warship ever built at $13.2 billion, has been facing numerous challenges despite being delivered years late in 2017. According to a recent assessment from the Pentagon Testing Office, concerns around the Ford range from potentially grave issues to more mundane problems. These include insufficient test data to assess the ship's operational suitability, questions about the reliability of key systems, such as its jet launch and recovery system, radar, and ability to keep operating if hit by enemy fire. The report also highlights that there is not enough current test data to determine the Ford class's operational effectiveness due to incomplete realistic combat testing. This means it's unclear how well the ship can detect, track, or intercept enemy aircraft, anti-ship missiles, or small attack aircraft. Additionally, the Ford has been experiencing issues with its berthing capacity, with 159 additional bunks required to properly house all of its sailors and personnel in temporary units accompanying the ship into battle. This shortfall could worsen if the carrier's air wing diversifies further to include additional F-35 warplanes or staff to operate Boeing MQ-25 Stingray refueling drones. The USS Gerald R. Ford recently made headlines when it had to leave the Middle East after a fire broke out in its laundry area, resulting in over 200 sailors being treated for smoke inhalation. The incident underscores the strain that even the U.S. Navy's most advanced assets are under, as the Trump administration relies on a version of gunboat diplomacy to accomplish geopolitical goals in Iran and Venezuela. It's essential to note that these issues are not necessarily reflective of the entire U.S. Navy, but rather highlight the complexities and challenges involved in developing and deploying cutting-edge military technology. As the situation continues to unfold, we will keep a close eye on developments and provide updates as more information becomes available. That's all for today's Barbara's Bulletin. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay engaged.